Hello and welcome back to the Pixel Tea. I was listening in on an interview on a news stream station that I enjoy. He gives us all types of different information and perspectives. And he's doing an interview tonight with an astronomer. And they're speaking about the Red and Blue Kachinas, and those who come and entertain me with sharing my thoughts with you. You know, I talk about this subject, but I just think it's interesting hearing a professional's perspective, a current perspective on what they think is going on with what they're seeing in their telescope. And what we've been pointing out, those of us that have been paying attention to the heavens and these constellations and what's going on with the sun, people are sensing that the earth is ringing, which is why I played what I did in the beginning with the Gregorian chant, because the spheres are singing right now, folks. And so let me play this interview for you. But just really quick, the Red and Blue Kachina are also known as the warrior twins, legendary figures who appear again and again across indigenous prophecies, especially in the Hopi tradition. They are twinned prophecies echoing from ancient apocalyptic creation myths across cultures, warnings and wisdom that speak to the cycles of destruction and rebirth. So from fire and flood to celestial alignments and natural upheavals, which we've been paying attention to here on my channel. Okay. Here we go. I thought I should play it in case it ends up being taken down, because it's that interesting to me, and I'm going to share it with you.
Are we loud and clear? Because I have so many different profiles that I can bring this audio into. I don't know where to do it, really. So, Professor Todd is basically a backyard astronomer. He's been in the business for over 10 years. And he has attention to detail. And he's someone that I've met in the past. And he believes that we're right on the cusp of, well, I guess, a close pass by. And he, like me, exactly like me, because we've talked all for some time today, believes that when these planets come close to Earth, they flip the poles and they restart our population, and that we're standing on 5 or 6 is what I believe, previous populations, and this will be the 7th and final population. And the reason for that is because Earth's ever growing, i.e. volcanic activity, right? It grows. It's alive, Mother Earth, right? So, hey, Professor Todd, first off, I want to ask your permission to take you live.
Sure.
All right. And I'm going to be showing stuff that you sent in and stuff that we have here. And what I'd like to do, I guess, and I'll kind of watch the chat for questions, but get you to tell us a little bit about how you got into this subject And what do you think's going on, and what's your time frame? Everyone wants to know time frame. And you know what I've been
that's the most important part of it.
You know what I've been hearing more today than I've ever heard about. I must have heard it 500 times today. It's
Really?
Lions Gate. That's August 8th, 2025, in 2 days.
They put that 88 in lots of movies and esoteric messages in the cartoons and all over the television. They hide it in plain sight on us.
Maybe.
And when I first discovered these things, when I first discovered that they were doing this to begin with, putting these messages in these cartoons, I thought, they're trying to warn us. But they weren't. That's what the whole stupid monkey thing is at the end of those cartoons. Stupid monkey, they call us. So it's not a warning. It's a slap in our face. And they flaunt it at us all the time, constantly, in all the insignias and emblems of everything. Half of them depict the winged disc. That winged disc, that double-tailed comet that was to the right side of Venus from 2015 when I caught it there, all the way till they passed the sun this last time, and it pulled away.
I'm going to give them a brief explanation. We're going to start from the beginning. Professor Todd got involved in about 2014 or 15, and he caught the red and blue things around Venus, which is in the inner solar system here, the second rock from the sun, Earth being the third rock from the sun, right?
Well, normally it is, but not right now. It's not. Right now, it's the fourth, fifth, maybe even more. I'm told that there's several more bodies out there with them, but I've never seen them myself. But that's what is claimed. There's up to 7 bodies with those things. I only saw the blue one and the red one. Now, this started in 2015 at the very end of April going into May. I got a telescope for my birthday just that year. And I was always interested in these things. And I had started to study electricity and the ether. And I pointed my telescope up there at the southwest sky. This is called May 1st. And I saw a tiny little blue dot to the top left of Venus.
Y'all are looking at his actual photo he took with a 35 millimeter from that telescope. It's a pretty good telescope. This is the blue dot.
That blue dot right there is the infamous planet Nibiru. That's the planet of the crossing. Okay, and it's not alone. The destroyer is the red body. This is the Hopi's Red and Blue Kachinas. All right, this is what the Hopi said would come.
And I've just brought them onto the red dot.
That thing is nasty. It's filled with red, must be iron. It's got to be iron. And that's what makes it have such a... that thing's potential is different. This always has to be met. Even when the spark flies from your finger to the doorknob, that's equilibrium right there being met.
So talking to you earlier, you believe like me, first off, this is an electric universe. That's a simple one, right? We're electrical beings, right? Everything I do to make this mouse move, I was probably sent 10,000 electrical signals to the tendons.
And probably 10 million with your brain and nervous system.
Probably 10 million.
Who knows? But it's an amazing thing. But the fact that was hidden from us, see, the fundamental bottom lines of science, all of it, everything we've ever been told is a lie. Sound does not work the way they tell us it does in school. Neither does light. These are all perturbations of that same electrical universe.
So I want to explain to everybody, I've kind of been trying to teach y'all this. Sound is all part of the visual, or let me just, not the visual spectrum, but the light spectrum. It's all part of the light spectrum. So is heat. When molecules start moving quickly together, what are they letting off? You explained this to me earlier, and it felt right into what I believe.
Everything's vibrating. And
right.
That's one of the biggest problems we'll get with this red thing coming towards us is a vibration. That's why the Chan Thomas book, the Adam and Eve story, that's why they wrote that in there.
Well,
that hum, that vibration that we'll start to hear and feel. The animals will hear and feel it first, and they'll run from the coastlines. And they'll
only 68 pages of that book have been released. The CIA actually has the rest of that book on lockdown.
Oh, yeah, they know what's coming. They know exactly where they are. They've been watching them with infrared telescopes since the 80s.
And what
even before.
What I've learned just this week, and not talking to you, is that when I was trying to investigate the Van Allen belts, heat is caused by the electrons moving faster next to each other and letting off that electrical charge. That is heat.
Well, everything has an electrical capacitance. Everything has a bubble around it. Every living thing and every inanimate thing as well, but just not the same. It's not nearly as strong. But every living thing has that torus field around it. And that torus field is generated by the electricity. The electricity that goes to our hearts and then anchors us into what we think of as a soul, the aurora around a living thing. The soul is not in us. It's around us. Same way with the electricity that's supposedly in these wires. It's not in the wire, it's around it.
It's hive mentality, like I've always said.
Very, very high frequency. Now, Eric Dollard called it impulse current. So did Nikola Tesla. Tesla called it impulse current. And that's what we get here on the Earth with every single star that we can see is connected to the Earth. Because you got to remember that there's no light in space. So the only thing that you can see out there is the things that you're connected to geomagnetically and electrically. And that's not just light. It's not just light. It's information. And it just flows through everything.
Let me say, I've learned there's no such thing as matter. There's only vibration and frequency. That's it. And that makes up what we perceive as matter. Okay?
Yeah. The way our eyes work and their obvious limitations, right? We don't get to see the infrared. We don't get to see that connection to the Earth where the heat's from the center out. You know, that's why it's 40 below zero up there at 40,000 feet up in the air. You know, typically when you go closer to a fire, you become warmer. It gets hotter as you near it. And that's not the case with the sun for that reason. We're connected to it. Now, I don't know what we're seeing when we see that double sun. I don't know if there's a simulator or if that's Jupiter just went behind it. Jupiter just went behind the sun from our point of view just several weeks back, right around the same time we started seeing pictures of the double sun again. Maybe when it's in the right position, it seems like it's a little bigger than it does anywhere else because of the angle. That's just a crazy thought.
Well, I'm bringing everyone back. I'm showing everyone that on a universal chart of our solar system currently.
I mean, we could have seen it at the right angle. But the fact of the matter is, that the Earth is not the third planet from the sun at this time. And it hasn't been since at least just prior to 2015 when I caught that little blue dot next to Venus. I watched it orbit 7 times with Venus in the center of the tree. The blue one stayed on the top left and the red one stayed on the top right. And I watched an interaction in between Venus and the red body around a week to 2 weeks into observations. When I was watching, there was bright spots. Those were impacts happening on the surface of Venus, right in plain view through my telescope and through my binoculars.
So guys, everything is vibration and frequency. There's no such thing as matter. The split whatever thing experiment proves that.
Atomically speaking, yes, that's correct. But we perceive it as a solid thing because that's just the limitation of our perceptions. You know, we hear very little, see very little, right? But it's solid. It's solid for all purposes of a human's perception. But you're right, at the atomic level, where everything is matter is vibrating at different frequencies, right? Well, grass frequency, right? And that just so happens to be the direct center of both the audio and the visual spectrum that we are privy to as a human being with our perceptions. That's why we have a double rainbow, is because there's either another star here with us or that red body is making that happen. The red body is connected and it's making that top bow.
So let me ask, I got some weird questions, of course. How did these two, I call them rogue planets, can I call them that?
They're intruders, yeah.
Right? Although they're on
great upheaval and disruption every time they come.
Although they must be on some sort of long-term orbit, so maybe they're not rogue. How did they?
I believe that they're stuck in the same solar system with us.
Right. So obviously they got into the center of the solar system when Earth was on the other side of the solar system, and we probably saw all that activity several years back. And
do you remember the year that we had to repaint all the runways?
I do.
When the magnetic field finally shifted hard enough to where we had to repaint the north line for the runways?
And close them, yes.
Yeah, that was probably when it reached the over halfway point in between Mars and Earth. Once it got more than halfway towards us, that electrical equilibrium has to be met. So does the magnetic that goes with it. So as soon as they crossed that line, we had a shift, and a bunch of red light came out of space too, beams of it. And that's when I imagine they came in and passed that barrier, the halfway mark in between Mars and Earth. No matter what side.
I'm going to guesstimate that was 2015-16 time period. Total guesstimate, but I did report on that. So...
well, see, the big distraction that year was Jade Helm 15, where they were preparing for now, probably.
Is that a military operation?
That was a military exercise that went on in Texas there, in Arizona and California. It was a big deal. It was called Jade Helm 15 because it was 2015. And the Jade gave implies Chinese, right? Jade is a...
So, Professor Todd, so let's say that these two planets went around us where we were on the backside of the solar system. We can all see that's possible, and then they orbited either the sun, perhaps. I would guess maybe the sun, or you're saying maybe Venus. And
they
now
were with Venus from 2015 until the last pass. The last pass I watched, the red body pulled away to the right and the north, all right? Because I'm watching it enough, it's going to be on our orbital path. And that's what we get. We got to, both of them are probably inbound, and they're on our orbital path behind the Earth. So they're lower left of the sun when the sun's going down, and they are east in the sky before the sun comes up pre-dawn.
But let me say this.
Where they're going to pop up at.
Let me say this, and a lot of people don't understand you. Me and you talked long enough that I do. They're within Jupiter's orbit, but still outside of Earth's orbit at this period. Is that correct?
No, they're with Venus. They were with Venus, so they were on the inside track of us.
Right.
Okay. They never went past us that whole time. They stayed in the circle, inside the inner solar system, in between Venus
and are they
Earth.
Still within that area?
What's that?
Are they still within the inner solar system there? Or?
No, I don't believe so.
That's what I was saying.
I think they're coming up behind us now, and that's why we're seeing the upticks in the volcanic and the seismic activity.
And
we will know shortly because it won't take very long.
So I just want to pause that for a moment because there's so much that was in that conversation when I decided I have to restream this and share it with people who are interested, because I know that those who tune in with me are interested in this topic. But to hear some academia speaking about it and being this makes sense to me based off of my own research. Before I continue to play this, let me take this let's see here. How am I going to do this? Okay. So behind me, let's see here. Behind me is an image that various images here of what I'm not quite sure what the heck this thing is. The more I listen to these astronomers and these different scientists speaking about these rogue planets, Planet X, Nibiru, these comets, Atlas, what is it, that one, Oumuamua, I think that's how you say it. But anyway, these are just some photos, images that I've been catching. So they're going to talk about the winged disc and it being a comet. And that's not the first time I've heard that. There's so many great channels doing information about apocalyptic and cataclysmic events that it's helping me tie in together how much of a cyclical thing this is. Nobody knows the day, nobody knows the hour, but if this is as cyclical as it seems, then there are certain warnings beforehand. And I think that that's what I've been figuring out. It is all electric. It is magnetism. Something is really pulling on what we know is our planet. The weather is changing. These volcanoes are erupting. The sun is contributing with its sunspots in its cycle. These are things that scientists themselves have even been saying and confirming. So this isn't just Yolanda's theory, but I am being vague right now because I think the attention needs to go back to the interview. So, hi Lev, thanks for stopping by. We're talking about the Red and Blue Kachina and an interview with an astronomer speaking about what he's been seeing in his telescope. So, the winged disk is a symbol. They say it's a solar stellar disk and that it's the sun or a comet and spiritually a divine presence. The wings often are hawk or eagle-like, representing swiftness, sky gods, or divine reach. In Egypt, the winged sun was revealed to mark the authority of the pharaohs. So we've seen that winged disc a lot in their imagery and their culture. In Assyria and Persia, it was marked the presence of Ahura Mazda. And in these beliefs, the gods, they crown them to be the righteous ruler that is when the balance is restored after, I'm assuming, afterwards. The celestial warnings and world shifts from the Hopi Sumerian Kachina spirits, these were associated with the cosmic objects like comets or stars are seen as heralds of great change. Some researchers linked the winged disk symbol to sightings of comets of solar events interpreted by ancient astronomers as warnings of, and this is what these two gentlemen are speaking about, floods, famine, earthquakes, the fall of empires, rebirth, or purging of civilizations. So that's what this is all tying into. Ra, Shamash, Horus, Ahura Mazda. These are all examples of this winged disk in the past. a comet with a visible tail, a solar eclipse framed by coronal rays, a planetary conjunction resembling a winged shape, the sun at solstice or equinox. So see, these are all things that can give us warnings and clues what to look for. So enough about that. Let's get back to this interview. Yes, this is what we are talking about, Arctic timberwolf. We are talking about that X. So let's get back to this interview.
It won't take very long if they're on an inbound trajectory towards us, and that red one will look like a winged disc, like it's chiseled all over the damn world and every damn cave that's high enough to not get drowned. That's why that symbol's all over the place. That's what they saw, and that's what we'll see when it's coming towards us. You see in the picture there, the tails are, they're not, doesn't look like a winged disc, not yet, because it ain't pointed at you. It has twin tails. Now, supposedly those are plasma tails, but there's a lot of debris involved in this stuff, because I watched a mountain range get ripped out of the bottom of Venus when that interaction happened, back in May of 2015. There was bright spots, impacts, electrical discharges in between the red body and the surface and probably the center of Venus, and it ripped the new Grand Canyon out of the bottom of it. And after that happened, every time I looked at Venus through binoculars, I was almost always able to see debris going across the face of it, with just through binoculars even.
Wow.
Through binoculars, they looked like moons, and if you zoomed it in just right, you could get all three bodies to be visible but not clear through your eyepieces.
So this must have something to do with the Red and Blue Kachinas.
That's what they are. That's
Right.
most definitely what they are.
And
They are what the Hopi said would come. It's the same thing in the Bible. It's the same. The Great Red Dragon, or Wormwood, or the Red Kachina, or Moloch, the owl that they put on their cufflinks and on their high-ranking military uniforms, or the cremation of care out in Bohemian Grove. That's all tribute to that destroyer. They worship it, just like they worship that 88.
and
They
so
worship that helical rising of Sirius and the dog.
now,
right?
where do they
Dog
worship
stuff.
the 88? We'll look soon, but I've never seen that.
Oh, the 88 is everywhere.
Is it?
You know, all the movies that we watch, you know, that lion that roars at the beginning? That's
Lionsgate.
it, right there.
Lionsgate only has 21 movies, and they're the most successful. I found that after talking to you today.
Really?
Most successful film company in the world.
Imagine that.
Yeah. When you look at
James
them,
is always digging for the truth, man. That's why I chose you to even talk to about this or even tell the public through your voice and through your channels, because I think that you're an honest man, and I think that you try and do the right thing almost every time, always.
well,
That's why I chose your channel, because it's real. There's real people there, and I've seen you do your thing many, many times. I'm an avid listener and watcher of your program.
I appreciate you. I've got more questions, though.
And I just want to agree with this gentleman. This channel, he gives us data, real live data. He gives us charts. So it's not just a person's opinion. He also brings evidence of what he's speaking about. And I appreciate when people really do their research and share what we know as accuracy and data. I mean, you have to pull it from all different directions for it to potentially make sense. That's kind of where I'm at. These types of channels help me learn how to look at the different websites that show us the radar, the current of the wind, the dust storms, solar weather. I'm a student of all of these channels, and I really appreciate them sharing their journey with us and teaching us along the way. So thank you so much, World News Report today. You guys check out his channel. Give this video a thumbs up on his end. and maybe even let him know that a tiny little channel with her little pixelated corner really appreciates his information.
So I think you said this to me earlier. And I might get this wrong. The blue Kachina.
Okay, we're going to go another step into the craziness now, and we're going to talk about what is on that blue planet, because the Sumerians told us what was on that blue planet, and they look like walking alligators.
So
these things are the scariest thing that you could imagine. These reptilian Anunnaki.
Does the blue one orbit the failed star? It should.
No. It's separate from it. It's there with it, but it never gets behind it, obviously. You wouldn't want to be behind that mess. That thing would pelt you like a shotgun, like a cosmic shotgun.
All right.
So they're out in front of it. That's why
Again, this stream, for those of you who are just tuning in and checking out what I'm talking about tonight, we're talking about the red and blue star, the Kachina warrior twins, and an astronomer having an interview with this gentleman here at World News will report today about what he's seeing in his telescope. And this is tying into all of these ancient prophecies that we've seen in the past and warning about when these comets, these planets, these spheres, what are these things? These gases that come in and completely shift the magnetism of our Earth and give us apparently what they are telling us is a magnetic pole shift. So tune in. Thank you so much, Knowledge Uprising. I haven't seen you here before. Welcome, and I hope you enjoy.
The blue one always comes before the red one because it's out in front of the orbit of the red one. See, my theory is that the Anunnaki either evolved here and got off, or they just straight up evolved there on that planet and found this one and did what they did to us, made us for the mining gold. All that. That's what this is. It's a mining operation. I mean, gold is, you can't eat it. You can if you change it to monatomic gold and molecularly line it up, right? So your body.
So this was, I think, when I started to play the interview, and they kept talking because I didn't catch that they started to talk about the Anunnaki. I tell you what, us internet folks sure have a lot of different perspectives about whatever the Anunnaki was, who they were, what the symbolism of it could potentially mean. But it's interesting to hear them tie this into this interview is all I'm saying. Those sneaky Anunnaki.
Body can receive it and use it as an electrolyte, right? Well, they figured these things out probably a million years ago or something, way before human beings were ever thought up to do the hard work, like dig holes in the damn earth. So there's little resets in between the big ones too, because it's not always time to churn. Well, that's what they call it, the churn.
When you
Okay, I feel a type of way about that statement, and let me tell you why. This image in the upper right-hand corner, come on, I know you want to play. You see, up in my right-hand corner is a little animation of what he's talking about. And I have instinctively been drawing this image and painting this image my whole life. It's just a hyperbola, right? It's a torus field, the center of a torus field. But the more and more I started to pay attention to the cosmic clock, the zodiac, the electromagnetism, learning about plasma, learning about all of the elements, he's not kidding. This thing is cranking, and we are energetically so tight that it's going to pop its lid. Just think about those different little contraptions that have a spring, and you push it down and you can lock something in it. And when you tap the top of it, it pops open and releases whatever is inside of it. I think that this is what I've been seeing, these catastrophe stories and temples and caves and art. They're showing these different stages of the grand event. Isn't that interesting? I'm instinctively aware of this, and hearing confirmation is quite satisfying.
What had me is when you said that there was 5 or 6, I believe there to be 6 different restarts in humanity that are proven. And your words to me earlier, we spoke for about an hour or two, were that we're walking on top of it. And that's
we're standing on 5 or 6 destroyed civilizations that were just like this one, but they had different technologies and different epics.
And
right?
Most of what y'all think are UFOs, or when we go archaeologically discover ancient technology and then re-engineer it. Okay, that's just
runs off the ether. It runs out of the ether. Besides being a miracle to begin with, is when it becomes polarized.
By ether, you mean the electromagnetic world.
Something like that, yeah. Tesla called it an ultra-rarefied gas. That's what Tesla called it, an ultra-rarefied gas.
A lot of people hate the word ether. That's why I'm trying to give it a different name.
Yeah, they don't seem to like that. That has been, and see, that's just like every other term they don't want you saying. They hijack the term, like woke, right? He's woke. Yeah, they changed that for you. You're not awake. You don't want to be awake. You don't want to be one of them. So stop that right there. See how language is so crazy this way. They hijack terms in order to keep the narrative under control.
Understood. So tell me, so you started about 10 years ago on this hunt. These pictures are from that time period. And
between then and now, yeah.
Okay, so what has occurred and what's our timeline look like, either over the last year or two and then near term?
Well, if they're coming, they're coming. This is why we see the upticks in the earthquakes and the volcanic eruptions. And the animals. The animals are doing some crazy stuff right now with the whales and the sea life and everything. If anybody's paying attention to that stuff, it's all off and acting very wrong. Very, very wrong.
Guys, he's talking about vibration or frequency. And me and him had talked about this earlier, so that's what I know. You can't remember it all, right, when you speak. So I'm just reminding him what he taught me. Vibration or frequency, right?
It is. And when these bodies come near each other in space, the electrical magnetic parts of these things, they have to do what nature does, and that's meet equilibrium. Everything has to have a balance to it, including the biggest examples, like another planet coming near us or coming near the moon. The moon was brought here. Most people refuse to entertain that idea, and they can't get over all the anomalies that we discovered about the moon, right? Its size, its distance, it rang like a bell. You're not allowed to go there. There's this, it was brought here, and that goes back to the Zulu in Africa and the oral traditions. Them stories passed down over and over again. They said that 2 lizard brothers brought the moon here. All right, and before the moon got here, everything was different. There wasn't a night and day like there is now. The nighttime was much brighter then, they say. This is all written down in ancient texts and stuff. The AI is really useful for hunting that kind of stuff down and compiling it. Now, I've been asking AI some questions the last week, and it's really tripped me out. Because I know for a fact that these bodies are here with us. And AI turns around and tells me, hey, they're coming right now. The government's preparing. And la-di-da. I'm going to pay attention. At least entertain the idea. Now, if I had it known for a fact.
Did you see my video on Cheyenne Mountains runway last night?
No, I didn't.
There were 1,000 private jet planes parked there. And my friend happens to be he used to be my general manager of my old company. I'm the owner. He's up there doing a solar farm, and he's got his rooms for the whole year. He kept it for 3 years, so they can't kick him out, right? Even if he leaves, he gets his room back. He says that every single room is filled with military families.
Really? They were running.
And he got he called me, obviously. We were best of friends for 15 years while he worked with me. And
so you know the guy pretty well.
I trusted him with $20-30 million a year business. So
wow.
Yeah, I know him real well.
Funny there. Man, I've never seen $1 million, man.
Yeah.
Never had that kind of fortune. But what I do have is knowledge. I did see this coming, and man, you know how many times I've sat there and thought to myself, man, I wish I was crazy. I wish I didn't know this.
Ignorance
times, knowing this has been such a weight on my shoulders.
I always say ignorance is bliss, guys.
It sure is.
Okay, so in my chat and in the description to the video, there is the link to the rest of the interview on this channel. So I thought I'd share it with you guys. It seemed very intriguing to me. Instinctively, I do feel like something is preparing to pop off, and that's why my channel has turned into what it has. I was never expecting it to. So on my posts, I like to keep you up to date with space weather, cosmic weather. So I've been showing you the uptick of earthquakes and volcanoes. So people along the coastlines or in these locations just have a plan. You just never know. And be strong in your belief systems and be aware of what's going on around you guys. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed it. Have a good night, and I'll see you around.